And welcome back to Baseball Barbacast. We are now very excited to be joined by Duke left-handed pitcher Jonathan Santucci. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. And should I still be referring to you as an outfielder? Are those aspirations still in there somewhere?
No, I put the bat down to start the year this year.
Okay.
A little upsetting, but transformed to a golfer now.
Oh,
Okay,
interesting. So you're still a two-way guy.
We're still
Yeah.
getting swings off. That's where we're
go
getting
hit
the swings
the
in.
crap out of the ball on the golf course. So
Okay.
yeah,
You've been
that
shooting
makes up
okay
for it.
recently? Feel good?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm doing well.
You swing lefty?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. So as you mentioned, the bat is in the past. The pitching is going pretty well for you. And that's fine. It's good. The business decision makes sense. But, two-way players now, everyone talks about all, it's like, oh, that guy could be a two-way, that guy could be a two-way. You had that experience for a little bit. What will you miss? What will you miss about being a hitter? How many times did you pick up a bat literally at once this season?
Not once. No. I took BP for a couple weeks in the fall, and then decided to put it down. But I think BP is probably the part I'll miss the most.
Why?
That was my time to shine.
Just because it's no pressure.
Yeah.
It's coming in at 75 and straight down the pipe. You don't need to think about secondary pitches.
No.
It's just you, the baseball, and a beautiful open field.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I enjoyed actually playing the outfield more than actually hitting too. So that's probably the part I'll miss. So I shag as much as possible during BP.
So you are still getting the exercise in during
Yes.
batting practice,
Yep,
running
absolutely.
around,
Yep.
gazelle behavior.
Are you probably don't want to be doing full crow hops, throwing it back in, right?
No.
But I remember, like, in the high school when you're, again, senior season, it's like, oh, who's this Jonathan Santucci guy? Like, when I think back, I'm like, I think about not just you as a hitter, as you just, ripping it from the outfield.
Yeah, I have to resist myself. Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I got to keep the arm. We're doing okay.
A little,
So
little underhanded.
Yeah, just little soft toss. Did you ever, I imagine that's another thing throwing guys out has to be pretty fun.
Yeah, that's a really good feeling from the outfield.
So I want to kind of turn it back a little bit. You are from North Central Mass.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Now, I'm looking out here at this baseball field behind me in 1,000-degree heat in Arizona, and most of these kids on this field are from warm weather states. Right? I mean, it's a lot of...
We have already had a conversation with someone who literally couldn't conjure up a memory of playing a baseball in the cold at all from Florida, right? That's not an experience you've had, right?
No,
so,
absolutely
sorry,
not.
Jack, I interrupted.
coldest weather you ever played in growing up in high school. A game that sticks out in your head where it was like, why are we doing this?
It's got to be one of the scrimmages, like preseason scrimmages we used to play. We would have to go to the turf fields in the area because there was still snow everywhere. Just play like a little other school. But I remember...
You were talking like snowbanks on the side of the turf field.
Like outside the turf, they had to
plow
it off. Yep.
February, March, April?
Probably end of March.
End of March.
Yeah.
End of May. No.
Okay.
So go ahead with that one memory.
Yeah.
But I remember Little League practice, like probably 10 or 11 years old. It's just snowing out. Yeah, and it's like middle of April. But
Like, we're playing.
That wasn't fun. Yeah.
What are your, not your secrets, but like your process for pitching in the cold?
I mean, I just feel like I'm used to it, and
Yeah.
once you get warmed up, I just feel like kind of naturally takes care of itself.
Yeah.
I'm someone who I can't wear sleeves when I pitch.
Okay, so you're one of the wackos who, if I see on TV and it's snowing and you're in short sleeves, it's like, what is this guy doing?
But you say I can't. So what? So why not? Like, it's just uncomfortable?
I think it's just like a superstition of mine.
Okay.
I feel like freshman year I pitched bad with sleeves on one time and just never went back to it.
Dude, baseball players are the best.
Yeah.
They're the best. It's like, well, I was wearing underwear and I let up 8 runs, and now I have to go commando forever.
Yeah. No, but again, that's just how it works. So you're committed to that. You haven't pitched in sleeves since?
I have a tank top that we have that I've worn probably every game I've pitched since the end of freshman year. So yeah, stick with it if it works.
So I imagine, playing at Duke, you have some cold weather games depending on the schedule and depending on where you're traveling. But
you don't want to see that Boston College road trip.
That's if that's
first
the
week of
first
the season.
one.
Or Notre Dame. No.
Yeah,
Notre Dame.
no, right. That's the Boston College. At least you sort of know what to expect there. Yeah. It's a little bit more familiar. So I am curious about how do you end up at Duke, because that Duke has kind of ascended, for those who don't follow college baseball as closely, but it is really kind of risen up in prominence in the national scene over the last few years, not just from the recruiting standpoint in terms of getting talents like yourself, but the overall team building. And I think that's what I'm really interested in particularly the Duke team you had this year, because of the kind of the transfer opportunities the players have now, especially for older players, for grad transfers from places like the Ivy League, places like Division III schools. Rosters look very different in college baseball now than they did 5-10 years ago. And I'm curious about that dynamic from a social standpoint, because your team had a 25-year-old and some 18-year-old freshmen, right?
Yeah.
And you're smack there in the middle. How does that dynamic work in the clubhouse? I mean, was there a split? I mean, I'm sure you guys all got along, but did it feel like the older guys hung with the older guys, or were the 18-year-olds and the 25-year-olds best friends?
I mean, I feel like at the beginning of every year, it's kind of a transition period where you obviously have those 18-year-olds just coming out of high school, and then kids on our team like Logan Bravo, who's in his 6th year of college, who's like legit 6 or 7 years older than these kids.
He's seen some shit.
Yeah.
This guy,
Yeah.
right. These kids, I just saw a video.
He's done 6 tours of duty in college
right,
baseball.
right. So at the start, it's a little,
Yeah.
there's some separation.
So it obviously like a transition period and takes some time to kind of get everybody interacted and kind of on the level playing field. But I think that was kind of the learning curve we saw in the fall. And I think what we had in the fall as a team is completely different than what we had at the end of the year. I think that transition we had kind of led to the success we had.
But where do you see the difference? Is it the freshmen are on TikTok and Logan Bravo is still on Facebook?
He's on Pinterest.
like what are from a personality and from like off the field stuff? Like, were there notable differences between the older guys and the younger guys?
Yeah, it's obviously just like the maturity levels. Like all the older kids have gone through college baseball for a couple years
And gone
now.
through college,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like the actual experience of, I've taken way more classes than you've even...
Different stages of life, yeah.
Yeah. And these freshmen complaining about their assignments, and Logan Bravo coming in from Harvard, he's like, oh, okay, that's nice. You want to complain about this?
Yeah, but I feel like just as the year went on, the maturity level for the freshmen definitely got to the level that like you wouldn't even think they're freshmen at the end of the year. And I think that's just the learning curve of going through college for a semester or so and then getting adapted to everything, because that's a big transition from high school to college.
So we mentioned earlier you kind of dropping the 2A game and focusing only on pitching, talking about what you missed about being a position player. What did focusing solely on pitching do for you as a pitcher this past season?
I definitely, because I was hurt for most of the year last year and had to use the entire summer and fall kind of to rehab back into it. So kind of putting the bat down kind of just finally put me in a pitching mindset for the first time in my life. And I think being able to fully be involved with all like the routines and like pre-work and post-work that I felt like I had to rush through as a two-way player. Think I could like finally sit down and like go through it, take my time with it, and just take my time with it, I feel like. And I think that really helps down the road and kind of switching from that mindset of going out there and throwing and just going out there and throwing as hard as I can to like the mindset of being a pitcher and like working through like situations when you're out there.
We had a conversation with Brody Brecht, who described a similar thing dropping football and how he feels like he's just scratching the surface of what's possible. Do you kind of feel like that same way as you look forward to your pro career, where there's still so much more for you to learn on the mound? And were there any moments this spring when you were focusing on pitching full time, when you had a moment like, oh man, like I'm figuring this out, or because as you mentioned, you're constantly learning every outing, but that process, were there moments where like, oh, I'm figuring this out, oh, I'm figuring this pitch grip is now working in a way that I didn't have time to figure out, when I was still focusing on hitting? Yeah,
100%. I mean, throughout my entire high school career, I think I only threw 10 innings for my school, so like
right, that's the thing. Like, you were listed as a pitcher because you had the good arm and you would see it occasionally in showcases, but it's not like you got a lot of game reps in high school, so you have a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, I always considered myself more of an outfielder,
right,
especially even going into college. So it's always been a learning curve for me, like kind of learning on the fly when I got into college, and I think I'm just scratching the surface of what I'm capable of, and I don't think I'm anywhere close to the final product, so I'm excited for that.
I feel that way as a person. You know what I mean? Now that I'm not playing baseball anymore.
Oh, now you can focus on
I'm just scratching the surface of who I am as a man.
as a person.
Would you
John,
agree?
you're right. Jonathan's hopefully long.
Don't
major league
figure
career
that
ahead of
out,
him.
okay? I don't want you to scratch that surface.
Don't worry about that right now. You focus on the baseball. And
right.
if you have some time to develop as a man, that's great. But
It's
I think
just gravy.
and as of course you're here at the MLB Draft Combine, you're looking forward to a pro career. Is there one part of pitching that you are most excited to spend even more time on now as you become a professional?
I think just the kind of hands-on approach that a lot of organizations seem to take control of. I have never had like a real pitching lesson in my life. So it's all kind of like I said, learning on the fly. And I think that transition to pro ball, like where they're there to help you and get you to the level that you want to be at and what you're capable of. I think I'm excited for that and what their approach would be to that.
I like the idea of him going into a meeting with a team and being like, "Do you guys do lessons? You do lessons here?
Can you help me?
Do you have a facility where I can take some lessons?"
That's professional baseball.
Yeah, we're a major league baseball team.
That's
The whole thing is a lesson.
Part of the gig. Jonathan Santucci, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with whatever is next, wherever is next, and we're looking forward to seeing what happens. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.